What's going on, everybody? JR from JR's Cars, and today, as you can see by the furry mess that I have above me here, I'm sitting in the 69 Mercury, and it is about time to get some work done on this thing, because I've had this car for about a year and a half, and the only thing that I've really gotten done with it is getting it running. That's pretty much it. I've moved it, I don't know, probably about 10 feet from where it was actually dropped off, because I have a brake that's dragging. I don't know which one it is, so we need to figure out what's going on with that, so I can get it to a point where I can yard drive it. I can move it around a little bit. I can get it into a spot that is, a little bit easier and better to work on it, which means if I put it in a spot like that, there's going to be a hell of a lot more work getting done to it than what it is right now, just sitting here doing nothing. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to pull the rear tires off, tires and rims. I wanted to clean them up. I wanted to sand them down, paint the rims, get that all squared away. I want to see if it's one of the back drums that are causing a problem, if one of them maybe is locked up and that's why the car is dragging when it's going back and forth. If it's not, then I have to look at the front and see what's going on there. But there's going to be a lot of work done in this video, so let's get at it. All right, so now that I have the tires off the back of the car, I'm going to pull these tires off the rims. I'm going to spray these rims down, start making these things look nice. But more importantly, this one here keeps going flat. I'll get maybe a couple hours out of just filling it up so I can roll it around. But what I did was I picked up a set of cheap May pops instead of the Will pops here. And I'm going to sand these rims down, get these things cleaned up. We're going to put those on the two back rims right now because I want to be able to move the car around, and then we'll see what we can do with these brakes. All right, that's off. So after a lot of pulling and prying and twisting and cursing and everything else, this tire's finally off the rim. Looking at, I don't know if you could see here, but that date code right there says 1902. So that is the 19th week of 2002 that this tire is dated. So who knows how long this tire's been on this car and how long it's been on these rims. But my guess, of course, is being that it was flat and everything else, and here I had to use a little bit of WD-40 to try and release it a little bit. But it was really, really on there. Now I need to get this tire off the rim so that way we can clean it up and get to painting. All right, so that's what we're left with. We got the rim here. And take these weights off. I'll pull that valve stem out. That was easy. One pull on that one. There it is. Nice. That tire came right off. Perfect. All right. And there's that tire. This rim looks significantly better. Nice and clean on the inside. So I don't think we'll have a problem with this one. All right, so I gave this rim a good cleaning. I scrubbed it down really good. I want to hit it with some compressed air here. Get all that loose debris out. And now it's time for some color. I'm going to let this sit. I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to flip it over and do the other side. I'll probably do 2 coats on that because that's the side that you're going to be seeing, and I really want that to look good. Gonna let this sit for about 15 minutes. We'll put another coat on it and we'll see what it looks like. There we are with coat number 2, and I think that's gonna be good enough for what I'm looking for. Car's not perfect, neither of these rims, so I'm not looking for a perfect finish. But man, that looks a hell of a lot better than what we started with, which you could see right here. So now what I have to do is I have to get the other rim done too. This one is complete. This one was the one that really wasn't all that bad. I just had to clean it up a little bit, and I repainted it. Inside looks good, outside looks good. I'm not too worried about this one. However, this one over here is the one that I had to do the majority of the work with. And what I had to do, because this lip had a ton of rust on it, it was beneath the factory coating. So I just pulled out my my flap wheel here and ground it down, ground it out. It came out pretty smooth. It was really nice. Right now I don't want to move it because I just painted it. So I can show you this one in a little bit how good it actually looked. But the way that it looked before was that there was a whole bunch of bubbly rust on it, and if I would have put a tire on there, it would have absolutely leaked. And this is the rim that had the tire that kept going flat on it. So it really doesn't surprise me. Ground it out pretty good and sprayed it out. Looks, I mean, as good as it's going to look for a 50-year-old rim here. Yeah, buddy. There you go. Look at how those wheels look. They look a lot better than they did, obviously, before. So now that these are all good, I cleaned up. There was a little bit more rust on this one here. So I hit that with the flap wheel too and sanded it out and repainted it. And there you go. It's about as good as it's going to get. Okay, so now we got to put the new valve stems in there. So I'll show you this here because it's really easy to do. As long as you have that valve core removal tool, this is really easy to do. All right, so like I said, nice and easy. Here's where that valve stem is going to go in. Go to the store and go get some new valve stems. Now you have to watch. There are different sizes. So you'll see a TR414 and I think a TR415 and then a 418, which is the longer one. But the size differences is basically just what the hole size is. This is a, I believe it's a 0.453 hole, and then there's a 0.675 hole too. So you have to make sure that you get the right one for your car. So basically, take the valve stem. All right, throw some soap on there so it gets nice and lubed up there. You're gonna put it through the back side, and then if you look on your valve core tool, right, this side is where you're going to remove your valve core. This will go over the top of it. You're going to screw that onto it and then just pull it straight up. You want to make sure you get it all the way through. There you go. And you'll feel it pop up and pull through, and then you'll feel it pop when it actually seats in the rim. So you see on the back side here, now it's all the way up in there. It's seated properly. So this one's done. Rim number 2, done. What I want to try and do is not scratch the rim. So I already lubed this up. I lubed the rim up a little bit. I lubed the tire up as well. So let's see if we can get this on there without scratching the crap out of the rim. That's the one side on. Let's try to see if we can seat that down on the lower bead. So that way, when we go to put air on it, compress it in, it'll actually take the air and it won't just blow it all out. There we go. Now let's get a rag out. Alrighty. Let's see what we can do here. There's the top, there's the bottom. So being that I got the wheels off here, I definitely want to take a look and see what's going on, because these brakes are dragging. I want to see which one is the problem here. So let's take a look and see. All right. That one's loose. So it's definitely not the driver's side rear. But let's go over to the passenger side rear and do the same thing. Oh, jeez. It is locked up solid. When I bought this thing, I had somebody tow it here, and I'll bet you any money, because that is stiff. This is the parking brake. I'll bet you any money they set the parking brake and it probably locked up this rear drum. Maybe I can go inside the car and see if I can wiggle it loose, just try to work the pedal a little bit. But I kind of have a feeling that what's going to happen is I'm going to have to separate this somehow to release the pressure on this cable so I can get this to free up. What I figured, because the driver's side was nice and easy to open up, I wanted to see where the adjusting screw was. And when I took the drum off, I was really surprised to see this. It actually has a new wheel cylinder in the back here. So I don't know, like the drums look really good. The pads look really good. This side came off really well. It's got a new wheel cylinder on this side. And I'm looking at things in here, and despite a little bit of, surface rust and things like that, I mean, this is all just, crap that you can knock down and spray. I mean, the frame is solid. Everything else under here looks really good. That's little surface rust. You knock that off, you spray it down, hit it with some maybe POR 15. I'm actually really happy to see a lot of this stuff that's going on with this car. So now at this point, what I'm going to do is, now that I see the adjusting bolt is right here, I could do that on the other side. I'm going to release the adjustment screw, so hopefully I'll be able to get that off, because the other thing I did, I followed the emergency brake line all the way across here, and you can see that the two lines come in here. This is the emergency brake rod that goes up to, parking brake. I know I've been corrected with that before. Parking brake. This goes up to the front, and then you have your two lines that go here. This one goes to the driver's side rear. That one goes to the passenger rear, and both of them are free. I've checked it. Both are free. They pull and they retract, so that's not the problem, at least as far as the line is concerned. So the passenger side one is the one that's locked up. So what I want to do is I want to see if I can loosen it up with the adjuster. And if I can, I'm going to have to find a way of just prying this off, because this is the one that's locked up. It's not moving. As you can see, it's pretty well stuck in there. It's not moving at all. That is the source of my problem right now with the brake drag. And that's stopping me from moving this around on top of doing the wheels. All right, it's getting in the back here. I was able to get in here and feel around for the wheel. And as I did it, I heard it pop, which was a good thing because then I was able to get in here and crank the wheel just a little bit more. All right. Now I'm going to set up the tripod and I'm going to see if I can get this drum off. All right, let's see here. Oh yeah, look at that. She's loose now. She was locked up solid before. It wasn't going anywhere. Ooh. Jackpot. Oof, man. Yeah, look at that. You can see the inside of the drum there. That's been on there for a while. Look at that. All right. Well, now that I got that off, I'm happy because I'll loosen this up just a little bit more. And then I'll clean up this drum a little bit here on the inside. And I'll see if that'll slip back on there. And we'll see if she moves a little bit better. All right, so I just did a quick and dirty here with the flap wheel. It's not perfect, but neither is the car. I really don't care too much. You know, when it goes on the road, I'm going to be putting either putting new drums on it or I'll get these turned. More than likely just get new drums because, you know, who knows how long they've been sitting on there and even if they're round anymore. So at least with the rust knocked off of it, I feel better about putting it back on there. I did adjust the pads in a little bit. We'll put this on there and we'll see if it sits okay in there. And then hopefully I'll get all the wheels back together, put it back on the car. And then we'll see if we can drive it around the yard a little bit now that the brake isn't going to be dragging in the back. And we'll get it in a little better area where I could do some more work to it. And again, just like on the other side, it looks like they already replaced the wheel cylinder at one point. I just did a quick little scratch on it just to see if it looked like it was an original or, you know, it's been in there for a while. This looks like it was replaced recently. The pads look really good too. So, I mean, I really don't have any qualms about putting this all back together here. And, you know, we'll see how things go. But let's put this drum back on it and let's see if we're adjusted properly now. All right. As you can see, axle spins free. It's good. It's got a small bit of play, but that's normal. All right. Cool. Might need to be a little bit looser. Let's loosen this up just a touch more. All right. There we go. Look at that. Nice. Now I'm able to move it, where before I couldn't even move this with two hands. This is great. Little drag is normal. That's good. Has really good free movement on it. So I am happy with this. Now let's get these wheels completed. Okay, I was going to wait until tomorrow to do this, but I just had to see what one of these wheels looked like. I got the tire on the rim now, and now I'm going to go put this on the car, and I'm excited to see what this is going to look like now. I can't get it all the way in there because the car needs to be jacked up a little bit, but take a look at that. That is freaking awesome. That looks completely awesome blacked out like that. I think that's the look I'm going for this car, and as you can see, I've already pulled the top off of the car because it was peeling off. We had some windstorms and it was getting really bad over here, and part of the roof just flopped over, so figure it's time to take it off. But check that out. That is awesome. There's your before, and there is your after. There's one thing I have to do before I put this on, though, because there's nothing worse than looking through the brake drum and seeing a rusty axle end. So I want to clean these up and give these a quick spray. So that way, when I'm looking at the wheel, I'm looking at this being black along with the wheel too. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll put that wheel back on. Oh yeah, look at that. Now that looks damn good. Now I have to get the jack up underneath the car, get this wheel out of here, and get the other side complete. All right, so there she is. She's back on all fours. It's a little bit higher in the back than it used to be, but I'm just used to the tires being flat in the back, so it's actually it actually looks like it's got a good stance at this point. So what I really need to do is I need to take those hubcaps off. I need to do those front tires too, because those I looked at, and those are the Will Pop 4000 brand. So time to get some new ones for the front as well. But what I need to do at this point is I'm charging up the battery in the back, because it's been a while since I've started it up. And once the battery's all charged up, I'm going to fire it up, and then we'll see how she rolls with that back brake being all freed up now. All right, so here I am trying to get it started, and it is most definitely not starting for me right now. And it's not the battery. I did have another kind of so-so battery that was questionable that I was trying to charge up. But I took the good battery from the Ford Edge that I have. It's basically the same thing. I stuffed it in here, and it's still not functioning. Now, I've already replaced the starter solenoid that was done previously, and it should be good. I mean, who knows with parts now? There's, it's quantity over quality. So what I have been having an issue with, and I would bet anybody who has a 60s Ford product that has an automatic column shift, is that you have to take the shifter and you have to push it up in order to get the car to start. So what's happening is there's a neutral safety switch in the base of the column, and because it's not really detecting that it's all the way up, you have to push the shifter up a little bit in order to get it to start. Now, I had this problem for a while, and no matter what I've done, I've tried to, jam it in there, tried to play around with it a little bit. It's still not cranking over. I've arced the battery side and the starter side of the starter solenoid, and the engine does turn over, so it's not the starter. The starter's not locked up. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here, because I don't know, maybe it'll help you out if you're looking at your car and you have this problem too. You can see what's actually going on here is when I put the key in, I go to turn it. You see how hot comes on? That always comes on when I try to start it, but it just doesn't do anything. Basically, this is the neutral safety switch. It attaches to the column. I already kind of have this apart, so it's kind of hard for me to film this. It attaches to the column. There's a bolt here and a bolt down at the bottom. It attaches to the column, and then when you push up on the shifter, there's this little plastic piece that will, when it's all the way in the up position, which this is the way it sits in here, up position would be all the way up here. That actually will then close the circuit. It'll tell the car that it's good to start, and then it'll allow the engine to crank over. What I think is going on, actually I kind of know what's going on with it, is that it's not going all the way up, so it's not collapsing the circuit, and or the terminals that are inside of it are corroded and they need to be cleaned, because it's not collapsing the circuit at that point. And if you look up underneath the column, right at the base over there is where it's attached. So what I did was I took it apart already, and there's just a couple tabs that you have to bend over. I already took it apart, and I could see that the brass that's in there is not standing proud in there. It's kind of sitting low. Looking at the other side of it, it is making contact, it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean these contacts up really good. I'm going to try to see if I can get this to stand up a little bit more, these brass contacts in here. And then I'm just going to plug it back in, and I'm going to put it in the full park position to hopefully get it to start again. You could see there how the lines are going down, like when you shift away from park. That's what it does, is it opens the circuit here, and then when it goes to the park position, it closes the circuit and allows you to start the car. So hopefully I can get these things cleaned up. There is one other piece to this. This is the piece that actually attaches to this plastic piece here, and it kind of goes in there like this. And what happens is this attaches inside the column, and then as it rotates around, it'll go back and forth like that. And like I said, this is what collapses the circuit internally, but this is what goes inside the column. I'm not too concerned with this right now, really. I just want to see if getting these cleaned up and getting this into the full park position will get me to get it started again, because right now nothing's happening. All right, so I got it all cleaned up and put back together. I could definitely see that the brass contacts were not in good shape. So after cleaning it up, I plugged it back in. Now, let's see what she does. Hopefully she's going to crank. Fingers crossed. Now, mind you, I don't have any gas attached to it. The tank is bad. I don't have my auxiliary tank set up right now. I just want to hear if this is going to crank for the time being. Oh yeah, that's all it was. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fix that, I don't know, somewhere up here just so it's out of the way. But it's in the constant park position, so I'm okay with that as long as I can get it started. So let's hook up the tank. And now, at this point, let's see if it'll move around, and let's see how those wheels feel if correcting that drum that was locked up on the right rear helped it to where it's going to move around a little bit better now. So the brakes are definitely still dragging here. So we either have, I don't know, one of the fronts that are dragging on there too, but the pedal feels really, really hard. So my bet is that either the booster's locked up or the master cylinder's locked up, and it's just keeping pressure applied in there. So I'm going to try to get this thing in the backyard so I can work on it a little bit easier. And once I do that, I'll come back here. All right, so there you have it. Here she sits. She's in the backyard. That means that she's up on deck. I got plenty of room to work around both sides of the car at this point, so now I'm not going to have to fight trying to get some sort of space to work on it. And honestly, this is probably a side of the car that you really haven't seen before, because now this side has been up against that fence for the longest time. So the brakes are definitely still dragging, and I believe it's the front brakes at this point. It's either going to be the front brakes, you know, the rubber lines have collapsed, the calipers are no good, or it's going to be the master cylinder. That's always a possibility too, that it's just keeping the line pressure in there. Because as I'm looking here where I pulled the car back, I can see that the back tires were spinning because I could see two tracks as I was backing it up, which means that these fronts are definitely the cause of the problem. What I also need to do on this definitely is this carburetor sucks. It needs to be replaced. It's dumping way too much fuel into the engine. In previous videos, I'd done the plugs and wires in this, and you could see on the plugs themselves that they were just carbon fouled out. I haven't pulled a plug recently to see what it looks like, and I've only run it a couple times, but I would bet that it's the same thing because I can smell the fuel, like raw fuel, dumping out of the exhaust. On top of it, as I was trying to back it up, I don't have that in this video, as I was backing it up, it was just dogging out and it kept stalling, everything else. The choke isn't working properly in the carb either. So the choke butterfly was closed, and it was just choking this thing out. So I had to keep it open with just a piece of hose just so I could get it back here. However, I will say I'm proud of the girl because this is the farthest that she's actually traveled. I had maybe about 150 feet of it driving, where I've only been able to do it for about 10 feet at a time. I need that carb. We got to fix the brakes. I'm going to pull these tires off, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did to the backs. And there is definitely more work to be done. So do me a favor. If you like this kind of content, smash that like button. Don't feel bad if you don't like it either. You can hit that thumbs down too. Drop your comments down below. Let me know what you think about the work that was done. And if you're not subscribed to the channel already, consider subscribing, because I have a lot more coming from the 69 Mercury, and I have some other things in mind too. I hope everybody's staying safe, and I'll catch you in the next video where we get more work done on the Merc.